I see what you did there. I see what you did there, Horikoshi. I see what you did there. Chapter 100, fan service, celebration. I see what you did there. I see it. I see it clearly. I see what you did. I gotta say, that was amazing. Definitely. You know, puns aside, the final page of this chapter, the fan service. Holy shit. And I gotta say, Boku no Hero Academia, it doesn't have a lot of fan service. It doesn't. It really doesn't. I mean, comparing it to a lot of shonen series that come out, Boku no Hero Academia is rather tame. Has barely any fan service. So when it happens, it's surprising because you're like, damn, you don't expect it. And the final part of this chapter, it made me smile, it made me laugh, and I'm like, Mei might be one of my personal favorites. She possibly could be one of my personal favorites after this chapter, and most likely because of her interactions with Izuku after this point, which I'm going to get into. But the fan service, though, I know many people are going to be talking about that. Holy shit, just holy shit. Yeah, okay. Anyways, getting off of that, that's most likely going to be thumbnail instantly. I mean, I know, it probably is. But getting off that, this chapter has two main points about it. One, has it to where our main characters are trying to figure out special moves, what they want to call their moves, and then the second half of the chapter is Izuku trying to figure out what he wants to do and how he can overcome his situation. For instance, he can't really come up with a special move because of the way his body is. His body, you know, will break down if he tries to use his one for all. So he needs to figure out a way of how he can make a special move by being able to use his quirk at all. And so he decides to go to Mei to where he can actually maybe adjust his costume in some way where he can support his body to where he can actually use his quirk ability one for all. So I like the direction where the story is going with this arc, and I'm going to talk about that in just a moment. I gotta say, I love the direction Horikoshi is trying to go with Izuku and how he's going to be using technology to advance himself to make him stronger for he can be able to use one for all. It makes me quite happy. So before I get into that stuff, let's talk about the first half, like for instance the All Might stuff to the stuff about each individual student, you know, doing their individual training, trying to do special moves. So, for the most part, all the characters kind of have a rough idea what they want to do. For instance, what type of abilities they want to use, or, you know, special names and attacks. They all have their own ideas already, because we have to remember that majority of the class, or the entirety of the class, has always had a quirk since they were very young. Izuku, as we know, he recently came upon a quirk since entering the school, and now he is pretty much like a newborn. He's trying to really adjust to his quirk, but everybody else, all of his fellow, you know, peers in school, they've already had a quirk for a very long time, so they've kind of already adjusted, and they've had time to think about abilities, while Izuku, he hasn't really had time to even adjust to his quirk, let alone think of ability names. Now, we have seen throughout the entirety of Boku no Hero Academia that Izuku has come up with special moves and different things like that, different names, like Smash and all that, kind of similar to how All Might names his abilities, but Izuku, as we know multiple chapters ago, he's trying to be someone completely different. He doesn't want to follow All Might's shadow. He doesn't want to be exactly like All Might. In a way, Izuku made a declaration that he wants to surpass All Might for he can become a better hero, a hero that is the next symbol of peace. And as I said a while back, I was really proud of Izuku for taking that step in character development, for him to actually finally stop, you know, imitating All Might and actually want to be his own hero, his own man. Someone that's not exactly similar, but he will have similar values, but he will be his own man. And I love that about Izuku and the development he got. And it seems like All Might confronts Izuku in this chapter about the situation. He's like, okay, you're still trying to imitate me, right? And he puts up his fist. And the way All Might was going with that, there's two ways I interpret that. One, I interpret it in the way as All Might is saying, you shouldn't always imitate me, you should become your own person and, you know, use your own techniques, your own special moves, or figure out ways to make yourself very unique. Or All Might was saying, you're trying to imitate me, right? Why don't you just think of some of the stuff I do and maybe you can copy me and then you can go down that path. One of those other two is the way I can actually kind of interpret what All Might was trying to mean, like the message he was trying to deliver to Izuku. And speaking of the message, All Might apparently is actually studying to be a better teacher, which shows you character development that he's going through and characterization. As we know, All Might is not really that good of a teacher. It's been something that's been, like, hard-pressed in our face for a while now, that All Might is not a good teacher at all. He didn't really teach Izuku much, and he even stated recently he wants to become a better teacher. He wants to focus everything he has on teaching properly. And when we see that little manual in the back of his pants, and it says, like, you know, how to be a teacher for idiots, I was really happy. I was like, All Might is really taking steps to improve himself for he could teach his next successor with One for All to be a better hero. And I love that, seeing All Might trying to do that, trying to better himself. It just shows you that he realizes he has flaws. He has flaws with his personality and how he's done things in the past, and he's trying to correct his mistakes. Beautiful character development when it comes to All Might in this chapter. Now, getting into the second half. The second half focuses on costumes. For instance, Izuku going through the issue of figuring out he needs to have a costume adjustment where he could be able to, like, support his body. Because as we know, if he uses his arms once again and he breaks them, there can be, like, irreversible damage to his arms that he'll never be able to repair. And so he's trying to figure out ways how he can overcome this by going to a specialist that makes costumes. And so it leads him to Mei, to where he can make a costume that might be able to support his body. And now, like I said earlier on, besides the fan service, I am really looking forward to the interaction that Mei and Izuku have, because Mei could possibly be one of the most important characters in Boku no Hero Academia because of one reason alone. We already know that Mei's personality and the way she is someone that's an inventor. She makes gadgets, different technology, and also costumes. And so if Mei can do something like this, she might be one of the key supports that Izuku is going to have in the future. For instance, she might be someone that is, like, let's say a sidekick, or someone that's always there beside him because he needs someone to constantly adjust his costume. We know one of the biggest weaknesses when it comes to Izuku is that he cannot use his full power. He will break his body and it'll snap like fucking nothing, like paper mache. So he needs support. He needs to be able to kind of either hold his power back or he needs to adjust his body. Something needs to be done. And with Mei being kind of brought into the series and now knowing that maybe some technology could help him out, there is a possibility that Mei could be the way of how Izuku can use more of One for All abilities, and she might have to always be there to help him out, kind of as a person helping him along the way. And if so, I'm looking forward to that. I would love to see, you know, Izuku have like a dependence on Mei's technology to be able to grow stronger, and then one day eventually being able to, like, kind of disconnect from her where he can actually carry his own and be his own man and be strong without Mei's technology. But I would like the progression of him slowly trying to adjust and stuff. It had an interesting dynamic. Hopefully you understand where I'm going with that. So yeah, Boku no Hero Academia, Chapter 100, a milestone for this series. I cannot believe it has been 100 chapters since this series began. Can you all imagine that or believe that? 100 chapters. It has been that long. It's been 2 years. 2 fucking years since this series started. Oh my god. I just can't even believe how long this series has been going on, how long it's lasted. I remember when I first discovered this series, I remember when I was first reviewing, like, the first chapter. Yeah, I remember reviewing the first chapter, and it's in the playlist, you can see it for yourself. It's crazy when you think about how long it's been since the series came out, and how long I've been reviewing it. It just amazes me. I'm just glad to see Boku no Hero Academia. It survived up to 100 chapters, and it seems like it still has a lot of life left into it. And I'm just glad, because it's such a fantastic series seeing it reach chapter 100. It's been a great ride so far, and cheers for, you know, Horikoshi for another 100 chapters of Boku no Hero Academia. Unless he wants to end it earlier than that. I mean, hey, I have all respect for a mangaka that wants to end their series the way they want to end it. If he wants to end it around, like, chapter 150, I'm fine with that. As long as if he is happy with his series, that's all that matters to me. And so, just cheers for the continuation of Boku no Hero Academia, and hopefully Horikoshi continues to write quality chapters for the years to come. So you all have a wonderful day, or night, wherever you live. Please be safe. Chibi out.